一会儿那个院长，如果你在镜头里出现，你不用着急，你就大大方方该干嘛干嘛 ，OK？ 别，不用害怕，好像赶紧要躲什么的，就是。
好，开始了是吗？
Hello everybody, hi. Are we on yet? Do you see me? Now my name is LIU Xin, and you can call me Xin, X-I-N. I am working for CGTN, the English Language International TV of China, and today is a very special broadcast because our new show, The Point with LIU Xin, will go on air in less than half an hour. And that is why we're doing this special live broadcast in the dressing room to show you the final countdown, the last moments, the last preparations we're doing right at this moment. I'm going to get myself finished, made up. At the same time, let me introduce to you Brian. Why don't you come into the picture?
Hi there. Pleased to meet you all.
Yeah, that's my colleague Brian. He's British.
I'm sorry about that. Somebody's got to be.
And Brian, tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I've been working here at CGTN, or what was CCTV News, for the past 2 years. It's an amazing place to work, and as we walk around before the show, you'll see some of the building, and I think you'll agree it's quite an amazing place. But before we do that, let's ask Xin just a bit about the programme, because The Point with LIU Xin is a current affairs programme, but it's a current affairs programme with a difference. Would you like to explain why?
Absolutely. Now, this is the first ever opinion show, yes, as my makeup artist is cleaning the undesirable spots on my face. This is first ever opinion show where I will be making sense of the story, making headlines in China and around the world. I'll be telling you what I think about it, okay? And every day we'll choose about 4 to 5 topics, and we'll go through some of the topics fairly quickly, but we'll discuss some of the topics in greater details. And all along I will be telling you what I think about them. Well, I hope this program will not be too boring for you. Today is the very first show of the very first opinion show on CGTN. We're all very excited about it. Brian.
I think I'm often asked by people when one's working at CGTN, can we talk about anything at all? Are we restricted in what we can talk about? It's true with a lot of international broadcasters, they do have restrictions. How do you feel? Are you allowed to talk about anything at all in this?
Are you sure you want to start the live interview with such a tough question on me? Okay, I have been working for the English language TV of China for almost 20 years, okay? And this question I'm also asked very, very often. And honestly, as you know, Brian, when we decide the topics, we discuss among ourselves, right? We choose what is the most important stories that are taking place, and then pretty much we decide what we want to talk about, and then we come up with the commentary we want to talk about. And we do it like that.
Yeah, and I think...
so far, I have my job still.
Let's hope you still have a job after tonight. Yes, we discuss many topics. Really, we're looking at the world from a Chinese perspective. I think that's really why people tune in to CGTN, China Global TV Network, because although many, many international broadcasters cover the world in general, we are unique in being able to cover it from a Chinese perspective.
Sure.
Okay?
And I think we do have a story to tell, because a lot of people don't know China, they don't speak the Chinese language, so we're here to tell you what is happening in China using a language and in a style that you can understand. We hope we do that well. Anyway, let's make a tour of the newsroom. Come follow us, please. So we're in this very famous building. I think a lot of people know about it. It's a building that's shaped like a huge M, which is the first letter of the word media. And we're on the 14th floor. Now, this is some dubbing rooms where people would go in and dub, but right now it's closed. And if we look on this side, we can see the night view of the city of Beijing outside.
Yeah,
it's looking quite good, huh? I mean, it's
it's beautiful. I don't know if you can see how well you can see it because there are actually reflections in the window, but there's 2 new buildings across the road which sometimes look spectacular at night. I think maybe they're not so spectacular now because you've got the reflections.
Yeah, but earlier today was very smoggy.
Yeah.
Right now,
that's one of the joys of living in Beijing, isn't it?
Well, you have to I mean, be patient. You have to be tolerant and hope that some of the measures that the governments are undertaking to clear up the environment will work as soon as it's possible.
Yeah. Well, now we're in the general production office, where there's a number of programs that are put together here. Not only the Point with LIU Xin, but also a number of other current affairs and culture programs.
Yes.
It's a big open plan office where we can sit anywhere we want to. Hot desking, as I think is the official term for it.
Yeah.
At the moment, this program is being put together for later on in the evening. Our team is we're walking towards right now. What little there are, fewer people there are now, because most of them have got into the studio by now.
Right. And by the way, this is the first time we're going to have the show, so we're going to talk about one subject which we believe is very important for China and for the world as we enter 2017. That is the relationship between China and the United States. We believe it's very, very important. That's why we will have China's ambassador, Cui Tiankai. He is China's ambassador to the United States. We'll interview him and see how he thinks about China-US relations, and we'll have two guests from America as well. Right now, this is the area where the Point with LIU Xin mostly work. One of the intern is here looking at the computer. Just say hi to our viewers from around the world.
Hi, this is Sherry. I'm a new intern here. Very happy that you come to see the new program.
Thank you, Sherry. Let's take a look at, well, the majority of the team have already gone into the studio gallery to prepare for the show, but here's another intern, and you can see this is the computer where we cut stories, and that is the brand new promo for our program, A Cone. Basically, the motto of our program is a story can take on a different meaning when you look at it from a different perspective. For instance, a cone, when you look at it from up, down, it's a round, but if you look at it from the side, it's a triangle. So it really depends on how you look at things. Shall we move on to the gallery
Yes,
of
let's
the
move
studio?
in right now. We have a number of sliding doors we have to go through.
Yeah.
Security is quite tight here for obvious
Sure.
reasons.
Let's
But
go.
we move across the studio. One thing, this the actual building, it's we were talking about what an amazing place it is. It was actually designed by a Dutch architect, and
Yes.
CCTV as was and CGTN as now is have been here for about 2 years or so. And if you look here, there's 2 legs to the building, a number of studios, a number of canteens, and was it how many lifts?
90.
90 lifts or elevators, actually called in America, in the building, which is a huge number.
I got lost. I'm still lost every time I try to go somewhere. So I often grab people and say, "Take me out of here." I think
that's
it's
quite
going to
common,
take me a
yes.
little while
Yeah.
before we get totally used to this building. So this show will be. How can people watch this show today?
Well, there's a number of different ways. Obviously on TV Direct or on satellite TV, but as well as that, they can watch it on the web, on cgtn.com. They can watch it on a special app, CGTN app for iPhone and for Android. There's
And
also
CGTN Live. So
Yeah.
if you are not in front of the TV, you can switch on your computer, go to cgtn.com, or look for the application CGTN or CGTN Live. That is, these are the places where you will be able to watch our show, which will go on in 20 minutes. Let's come into the gallery of the studio. So we are all very busy here. As you see, everybody is here making the final preparations for the show. And Brian, why don't you show them, show the viewers around? And
okay, we'll leave you to get mic'd up for the moment. If I can just squeeze through here. And if you look around the gallery, there's many different positions. Here is where they'll play in pre-recorded inserts or other things for the fillers and for the pre-recorded interviews. Further down the line, we have where the studio director is, and the studio director has to call the shots. So maybe if we can come along, we can actually have a quick word with the director. If we come along here. I'm not sure, she probably looks a bit busy at the moment. Do you have a couple of seconds you can say hello?
Oh, hello.
This is the studio director. Would you like to explain what happens here?
I'm just going through the rundown and prepare the shot.
We'll leave you in peace in that case, because
Okay,
I can see
thank
you're
you.
busy. If you look up here, you'll see there's a number of monitors Now, the two big monitors, at the moment there's a still picture of a guy on the left-hand side. That's the pre-monitor, which allows us to see what's coming up next. And the next monitor, which we'll see later, is where the main live feed is coming out. But we'll see that in action in a short while. You can see we're in everybody's way here. So let's come out the way. Along here, we have, first of all, along here, we've got where the studio producer is making sure everything runs to time and giving instructions to the studio itself. Okay, and then further along here, you have the sound desk, sound mixing desk. As you can see, it's capable of mixing many different microphone inputs and also inputs from outside sources. So if we look on here, for instance, here is one of our guests who will be appearing on the program later, and the sound from there will be controlled on this desk here, whereas the vision will be mixed in elsewhere. From here, you have studio lighting. So if you could look on this monitor here, these are all the lights in the studio, which we'll have a look at in a short while. And here they control which lights appear where. Well, I think we should go in the studio while we have the time, because time is running on. Let's walk into the studio and we'll just have a look and see what things look like. Okay. So here we are, LIU Xin is waiting for us again. Let's just quickly come up and have a quick word.
Hello everybody. Yes, hello. I'm already sitting here on my desk where I will be, how should I say, commentating on stories that are important today. We'll be commentating on a number of stories, but this is where I'll be talking to the world, making my comments and interviewing guests.
Would you like to tell us a bit more about what's happening in the program itself? Because we've got people talking from Washington, and we've got a pre-recorded insert as well.
Yeah.
Maybe you can give us a bit of information about that.
Yes, today we will have 3 stories where I'll be making some quick comments, and then I'll have this interview with China's ambassador to the United States, CGTN, and then I'll be talking to 2 guests which are also joining us live from Washington, D.C. Yeah, while I get ready for the camera position, why don't you show the people around the studio very quickly?
Okay. Can I quickly borrow your autocue a second?
No.
No. Okay. All right. If we look around the studio here, this is one of the main cameras we use. There are 2 cameras like this, Sony cameras for those who are technically minded. And if you look here, this is what we use as an autocue or teleprompter. It's a screen which has the words going through in reverse, which is then reflected on a glass screen at 45 degrees, which means that when the announcer looks at the camera, they are actually able to read the words while it looks like they're looking at the viewer. Over here, we have a count time clock. Here is the time in Beijing in green, and the red shows when we go on air and how much time there is left of the program. Coming around here, we have a boom mic. This microphone can be moved around on the boom and can float around, and it's make sure you don't get hit by that. And this. Okay, so you've got this one, and then you've got another rostrum camera here. So basically we've got 3 cameras. 3 cameras there. I think we're in the way again, so let's get out the way because we're making a nuisance of ourselves. So with the 3 cameras, there's also a 4th camera, but that is not used for transmission. It's only used so the director can see everything that's going on in the studio. So if they lose somebody, they will know where to find them. Now on the walls, you see there's various graphics along the wall here. Around here. The graphics controlled by next door, and we'll see that again in a moment. And if you can see these grey screens with little white lights in, they can be moved along. And for instance, if you look in here, these can be dragged along to change the studio layout. In the same way that the table can be turned around, you can change the lighting on the table. And down here you have microphones which are used. These are DPA microphones for the technically minded, cardioid microphones made by the Danish company, and they will have a very tight grip of the sound coming from a particular person without picking up everybody else. But as well as that, the presenter LIU Xin also has a lapel mic. a bit like this very small one here, so that she can walk around and be picked up everywhere she goes. So that's basically what's happening here. The lighting on the floor can be changed to different colors for different programs in the same way that the lighting on the desk can be changed. And then with moving the screens, moving the table, moving the graphics, you can make the studio look totally different for different programs. So I think we're getting in the way a bit here now. So maybe we'll, oh no, what's happening? Yes, it's important that when the presenter comes on, she is in a fixed place. And if you look carefully down here, you'll see there's actually a cross on the floor showing where to stand. Okay, it's not done by potluck. She actually has to stand in a particular place so that she is lined up with the graphics on the wall. Okay, but I think we're in your way at the moment. So let's move next door and leave you in peace for the moment.
We are about 10 minutes away from the official launch of the show.
Yeah, you'll see on here, the 21:19 in green, we've got 10 minutes to go to going on air. So at the moment, LIU Xin is preparing what she's going to do to make sure when she starts the program, she's going to walk on, or no, you'll stand on here.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome the viewers, and then I'll be sitting over there. I probably just need a few minutes to meditate, to relax.
Get in the right mood, yes.
Get into the right mood to really look forward to it. At this moment, my family will be watching as well, so and a lot of my friends will be watching, so I'm really a bit nervous, but also very excited, looking forward to the show.
We look forward to it. We'll leave you in peace to collect your thoughts.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
If you have a comment, give me a thumbs up. If you have a comment, if you have a question, please do send it to me. Help me make the show. It's your show, okay? See you.
Good.
Don't go away, yes.
Okay, let's go to the gallery and we'll see LIU Xin on the screens in the gallery itself. We have to make sure we don't fall over the various steps and cables everywhere. Now, at the moment, you'll see a whole plethora of screens. At the moment, they're trying out various things to make sure of the timings and to make sure they got all the inputs. On the left-hand side, there's a guy on one of the screens there who's going to be one of our guests in Washington, I suspect. And that's using an outside source. But let's look at some of the control desks over here. Okay, so from where you're looking now, straight ahead in the far corner is where they will control the graphics for going on the screens in the studio. And then in front of them is where they control the lighting. To the left is the sound engineers who will control the microphones. Again, further to the left is where the producer will sit, controlling the show. Here is where they're playing the inserts. The studio director will be calling the shots. And here is where they're putting up the subtitles on the screen. And maybe Xiaodi, have you done this yet? This is Xiaodi, who's actually responsible for the subtitles. And
we have just checked out the title. I think there's no problem now.
Good. Okay, because it's important to make sure there's no spelling errors and it all ties in with the actual show itself. If we come across here we've got the lighting sorting out. And lighting is quite complicated in the sense that you have to have a number of lights that don't throw shadows everywhere. It's not as easy as it looks. You have to make sure all the lighting coming from different angles complements one another and doesn't throw nasty shadows, because you'll notice that is the first thing in a TV program. The sound engineers. Right, now here we've got a bank of telephones here. And if we are calling somebody, in this case in Washington, we have to make sure that the Washington studio will know what's happening, so we can talk to them, get the shots lined up, make sure the guests are in the studio and all okay. So we have a bank of telephones there to make sure we can make contact with whoever it is we're using.
Here is my last one.
Now we're taking levels at the moment. LIU Xin is practicing from the auto cue, but at the same time the sound people will be making sure the levels are okay and that she's lined up as well. The two big screens that you see are the one on the left is for the preview of what's going to happen next. So on the right is the picture which actually goes out, and the one on the left is a picture that's lined up next. And if you see above it, the 4 screens are the 3 camera angles which you've got, and the 4th one is the overall shot that the director can see what's happening in the studio. So we only use 3 cameras in this one. You've got cam 1, which has got a red label on it, and cam 3, the red label, and some they'll turn green. There we are, green. So the green shows what's coming up next, and the cam 1, in this case red, shows what is live at the moment. And when the presenter is talking to camera, there is also a red light on the camera, so she knows which camera she should be looking at. That's also very important to make it look like she knows what she's doing.
We have 2 guests today. But one appeared, but the other didn't pick up the phone, so maybe he's still sleeping.
Okay, I've just been told that we are meant to be having 2 guests in Washington studio at the moment, but only one has turned up. And occasionally this is a problem, that you have an outside line from across the world, and for some reason, maybe there's heavy traffic or whatever it may be, the person doesn't turn up. And then you have a problem. How do you fill time? Always we have a plan B, of course, because if things go down or the line goes down, we have to fill the program with something, otherwise you just have blank airtime. So it's very important to know that. In this case, we at least have 1 guest in the Washington studio, so I suspect we'll have to change our timing somewhat and ask most of the questions of that 1 guest. Hopefully the second guest will turn up before we go on air, but we'll have to see. It's one of those things that live broadcasting is all about.
让他跟别人聊聊吧，要不然没话说。
他说 4 minutes to go， 还有5分钟。
So let me remind you just again that you can watch the main program going out on the TV stations, of course, CGTN, which used to be the CCTV news channel. You can also watch on the CGTN app on both iPhone and Android. You can watch on CGTN Live app as well. And there's also, we can go directly to the webpage, which is www.cgtn.com. A number of ways of looking at our output. And you can see from the clock up there, we've now got about 4 minutes to go. We'll be going on air exactly at 21:30 on the clock. Before we go on air, the studio director will be giving a countdown so everybody is aware of what is happening and will be ready to go with it as it happens. So we'll be waiting for that shortly. At the beginning of the show, there's graphics as well, which we played in from over there. So graphic opening.
Hello.
This is Elaine, who's going to explain hopefully what she's doing here.
Now everything's ready. We now have 4 minutes to go. Don't go away. Stay with us.
Okay, she's obviously a bit busy to explain more than that what's happening at the moment, but she will be calling, giving instructions to LIU Xin, who has an earpiece so she can hear what's going on, because obviously we can't talk to her directly otherwise. She has an earpiece, she gets a running commentary and hear what's happening. In the same way, the studio director will be talking to everybody, and she, if you look at the studio director over here, she's got a pair of headphones and a microphone so she can talk to everybody and give instructions.
Can wait until they calm down.
So now you're looking at the, we're making contact with the Washington studio.
Microphone to her.
Yeah.
How would you do?
Okay. Is Mr. Glick?
Who are you? Who are you? Introduce yourself.
Okay, for those who have just joined us, we are giving a live commentary on the very first program of The Point with LIU Xin, a new program starting today, which starts in just over 2 minutes. My name's Brian Salter, and I work as a producer in the show. LIU Xin is now in the studio waiting for the final countdown to go on air live. We're giving a commentary of what's happening. We're standing in the gallery at the moment, so next door is the studio, but here we're looking at all the TV screens over here, showing what's going on, and you've got a huge amount of people in the studio. People are often surprised just how many people it takes to put out a live transmission. But you've got cameramen, you have lighting men, sound men, graphics, subtitles, other technicians, a huge amount of people. So it's quite a cast of thousands, as they say. Here you're looking at the sound desk, and just above it on the left of your screen you can see the person who's in our Washington studio who's going to be interviewed as part of the program. So he's waiting for us to introduce him, whereas the sound guy here, he will be controlling the sound levels. Right, we've got 1 minute to go, and shortly there'll be a countdown by the studio director. So if we come over here and stand watching the screen this way, you'll see the final countdown. Okay, so we've got 40 seconds to go. Just a reminder, we're going to be covering US-China relations. We've got 3 guests talking to us. The first is the ambassador to the US from China, who we actually interviewed this morning. Hear the countdown now.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So we're now starting. We've got the graphic rolling at the beginning. Program introduction. And if you look on the left big screen is where LIU Xin, you'll see standing there. The lighting will come up in a moment.
China Global Television Network.
Goodbye 2016, hello 2017, and what a start it has turned out to be. Yet more terror attacks in Turkey and the Middle East. And as the US prepares for a change in the White House, how will relations between China and the US progress in the year ahead? Welcome to The Point on CGTN. I'm LIU Xin.
So these graphics which we're listening to and seeing at the moment are played on the right-hand desk.
You're watching the very first edition of the very first opinion program on CGTN. From today on and every weekday, I'll be sharing with you how I look at stories that are making headlines around the world. To mark the debut of the show, a live broadcast is underway on the Facebook page of CGTN. So go to that page and you will see what's happening behind the scenes. Give me a thumbs up or leave me a comment or a question and I will try to respond when possible. I'm looking forward.
So at the moment we're looking at the production team who are giving instructions of what's happening on. And now you're seeing the sound mixers and moving on to the lighting men. This is all coming from our studios in central Beijing, the new CCTV building, which we have been using for the past 2 years.
Here with a look at 2 different union messages delivered by the leaders of China and the United States. Chinese President Xi Jinping said that 2016 had been an extraordinary year for China as it had achieved progress on so many fronts. He urged the international community to join hands to build a more peaceful and prosperous world, emphasizing the desire to improve the livelihood of ordinary people. Donald Trump, meanwhile, tweeted, "Happy New Year to all, including to my many enemies and those who have fought me and lost so badly they just don't know what to do." Now, stylistic differences aside, do these statements reflect the respective state of the union of the 2 countries? Suffice it to say that from my perspective, it was refreshing to hear President Xi highlight inclusiveness and pluralism, but the world should work together so that everyone becomes better off as a result. This was in contrast to Donald Trump, whose words seem to indicate that America is being pulled further apart from within. Watching the nearly daily spats between the outgoing President Obama and
Okay, in a moment we'll go back to the studio when we're having a live insert from the recording, which was recorded earlier. So in a short while we're going to have an interview with the Chinese ambassador to the US, which we recorded this morning. So while that's going on, we'll pop back into the studio and have a look.
Another New Year's
this moment, Liu Xin is doing what's called the glance, which is her comment on certain things that have been going on in the news. So if we can look at the studios over here, if we look at the screen over here.
He said his priority will be a surge in diplomacy for peace. Now, to achieve that, he aims to foster a culture of prevention, focused on preventing crises rather than managing.
Okay, don't be quiet.
The Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the terror attack at an Istanbul nightclub early on Wednesday, killing at least 39 people and injuring 69 others. The night of celebration instantly turned into carnage. The Islamic State has embarked on a new wave of attacks after the lost territory and Syria, but it still has the ability to create chaos.
Okay, so at the moment we're going to be, as we're coming out of the studio, we can talk a bit louder now, but we still have to be quiet because of everything going on in the gallery. So we're talking about US-China relations, and the whole program, main program, is going to be talking to different people about that. But before we start on that, Liu Xin is talking about 3 different topics going on in the news, and she gives a commentary on that. So in a short while, once the glance, as it's called, is out the way, then we'll be going into the main first topic. So, take a short break, and we'll do a... So now a graphic is being played from the right-hand desk, on your right-hand side. This has been obviously prepared beforehand.
How does China perceive his victory, and how is it preparing for the transition?
And if you look here, there's all the screens showing the input of the pre-recorded parts which will be pulled in. And on the big screen, on the left, Liu Xin is preparing to come back in a second.
Well, he blames China for America's economic woes. Is Trump serious about the trade war with China? Will his anti-globalization message...
Okay, so at the end of this insert, we'll go back to see Liu Xin on the studio. If you can look on the main screen now. Yep.
And given the change in global
And then we'll go playing into a pre-recorded interview with the Chinese ambassador to America.
2017. Since Donald Trump won the presidential race, relations between China and the US have become somewhat strained. One person who's...
If you look on the left-hand screen now, there's the recording with the Chinese ambassador, which that will get played in a second, as we're playing in as a live insert.
What he made of the current state of bilateral ties and where things would go next few months.
Well, I think relations between China and the United States are moving forward, generally speaking, on a stable track. But there are always ups and downs. This has been the case for this relationship over the last few decades, and we don't expect all smooth sailing going forward. What is important is for the two sides to focus on areas of cooperation and, if possible, expand areas of cooperation and manage differences in a constructive manner.
Well, we have the wish that we hope bilateral relations will continue to grow in a stable and healthy manner. However, on some core issues, for instance, we're seeing some very worrying signals coming from
Maybe I have to speak to the director now because it goes for 10 minutes, isn't it? I'm just going to see if we can talk to the director a second.
It doesn't have to be bound by the Washington policy. Actually, decades.
Are you able to talk for a second?
Sorry?
Are you able to talk for a second?
Sorry, I'm busy.
Oh, okay, all right.
I need to concentrate.
That's fine.
Sorry.
Okay.
Now, you have said Beijing would never bargain with Washington over issues involving national sovereignty and territorial integrity because of that. a bargaining chip. In case Trump continues to try to drive a wedge between Beijing and Taipei, what could should China do to defend its interests?
Well, China has a consistent and strong position on matters of national territorial integrity and sovereignty. This has been our consistent position, and this is going to be our position for the future. China will defend to the best of
I'd just like to say hello to Amari Ahmed, who's calling from Tanzania, one of our viewers there. It's good to hear from you. Just to remind you all, we're always interested to see your comments and get your questions, as many as possible. Oh, very nice. We've got, at the moment, over 750 people watching us on this live feed. We can see you all, and thank you for writing in. Hello to Sherry Moz and Asad Makhdoom, Rabindra Mahasad Adhikari, Ogolo Thank God, a number of people. So good to hear from you, and keep on watching and enjoying. For those of you who have just joined us, we are doing a live commentary on the very first program of The Point with LIU Xin. You can pick us up on to see the program itself on your TV screens on CGTN, or you can watch on the internet on www.cgtn.com. You can also get the CGTN app and watch on that. YouTube has a feed as well, and there's also a CGTN live app. Plenty of ways to watch us. We can reach over 86 million people in the world as direct subscribers on cable networks. We are on this Facebook page. We have over 40 million people who are following us, which is a huge amount already. So generally, there's many different ways of seeing CGTN, the China Global TV Network. So I hope you'll stay with us. This is the very first program ever of The Point with LIU Xin. LIU Xin being the presenter in the studio, and for the main difference between this and other current affairs programs is that she's giving her opinion on what's going on in the news. So it's very much an opinion piece, and it's a new departure for CGTN. Now, this is the moment we've got the ambassador, Chinese ambassador to America, we interviewed him this morning, which was about 12 hours ago, and this is an insert which will be going on for another few minutes, at which point then we'll be crossing over after that to a guest in the Washington studio that we'll be talking to live. Sorry, no.
Trump also threatened to place 45% tariffs on Chinese imports, sparking concern of a trade war between the two sides. Is such concern legitimate? What would be the potential consequences of a trade war between China and the United States?
Any trade war, especially a trade war between the two largest economies in the world, will be very damaging to both economies.
I'm asked by somebody what hardware cameras are we using for the live stream. We're actually doing it on a mobile phone. The actual quality on iPhones nowadays is very good indeed, and this is being transmitted through the building to our web control center in the other arm of the building, and the iPhone is actually on a swivel mount so that it's a smooth transition. So it's a professional bit of kit to actually give a smooth transition as he walks around. But it's just a plain iPhone. It's as simple as that.
So that's why we have to make sure that more people will benefit from the process of globalization. But I don't think it's the right approach. If anyone
one of the things, of course, is that everybody here, the technicians, are all Chinese. So you find this in all international broadcasters that many of the technical staff don't actually speak the language being transmitted. But this is not a problem because we have enough English speakers to be able to give directions to them of what's going on. The studio director, of course, speaks English, and she gives instructions to all the technical staff what to do, and they are understanding what she's saying, of course, in Chinese, so there's no problem with communication there at all.
Made documentaries by the name of Death by China, which has caused a lot of concern, but also has been attracting a lot of attention from the public in the United States. How do you react to this kind of anti-China rhetoric during the campaign trail, of course, but also since Trump won the election, he continues to go down this path?
Well, I don't want to put label on any person. Let's make this clear. And trade, by definition, is mutually beneficial. If one side have all the benefits, the other side bear all the costs, there's no trade. Trade by definition should be mutually
一
beneficial.
般我
And
只
this
在
is
玩
certainly
会儿，
the case
吃快差
for
不多了
trade
走，我们
between
过来
China
那
and the
边
United
看
States.
我。
Both economies have benefited a great deal from bilateral trade and from an open, inclusive international trading regime.
就玩儿去了。
There's no good reason for anyone to do anything.
Ogolo, thank God, is asking if we report news from Africa. Yes, we certainly do. There's a CGTN Africa channel, and in fact, the CGTN goes around the world. We have studios in Washington, studios in Nairobi in Kenya, and studios in Beijing, and later we're hoping there's going to be studios in London opening up as well. So it's going to be very much a global channel. It's already, we have a number, I think 3 hours or so from Africa every day, and it's probably one of the most watched international channels in Africa, because we have many, many correspondents there indeed reporting to the Nairobi desk. So yes, I can say definitely, if you haven't seen the African service, you certainly should do, because it's very good coverage of the African continent altogether.
We'll do a better job in conveying those messages. Now, 2017 is predicted by many to be a year of even more political tremors. How will developments in China-US relations affect peace and development in the world in general?
China and the United States are two major countries in the world. We are the two largest economies in the world. We are both permanent members of the UN Security Council. So we do have the responsibility, we do have shared responsibility to keep the relationship on the right track and moving forward. And in doing so, we will be contributing a great deal to global peace and prosperity. As President Xi said in his New Year's greeting, that China is committed to work with other countries to build a community of shared interests globally. And we're ready to work with the United States and other countries for that.
So just to repeat once more, you're with us now watching the very first transmission of The Point with LIU Xin being transmitted. We're giving a live coverage of the actual first show itself. For those who are watching on Facebook, you can also watch the program directly on CGTN television, which is transmitted on global and on terrestrial and satellite TV networks. You can also watch us on www.cgtn.com, as well as on the CGTN app. Plenty of ways you can see us. Even YouTube has a channel, so you can see us many ways. Now
I'm sure you will be very successful in reaching
this pre-recorded interview is about to come to close. We're going to go across into the studio again for LIU Xin to introduce the next stage, where we're then going to cross over to Washington for a live interview.
All kinds of possibilities to get information, but still mass media has a key role to play. And a piece of advice maybe to my friends in the media is that please do not look at everything through a zero-sum lens. The real world is much more complicated. A lot of things are interconnected, and they do influence each other. So we have to have a more sophisticated view of the world, of the relation between China and the United States, and maybe of ourselves. Personally, I will continue to work for a stable and strong China.
So the director is now telling LIU Xin to stand by, because she's going to come back live to back announce that interview and lead on to the next item. There we go. Now we're live again.
China's ambassador to the US giving his first ever interview to CGTN. I admired his calm and positive rationality and his view that US-China relations are much more sophisticated than purely black and white. I hope this attitude and vision is shared by us and by American politicians and commentators as well. Until that is certain, we can only hope for the best but prepare for the worst. You're watching The Point with me, LIU Xin, on CGTN. We'll take a short break. Let me tell you, our simultaneous coverage on Facebook continues. Just go to the CGTN public page on Facebook. So far, we've had over 2,000 thumbs up. Thank you very much. And we have over 250 comments. Many of them, many of these comments wish us Happy New Year, saying that they're watching us from many different countries, Nepal, Pakistan, the US, and they send Happy New Year greetings. Thank you very much for that. Once again, let me remind you the topic of our discussion today is China-US relations. So keep watching us on TV and on Facebook. But if you want to follow us on a regular basis, here are the details you need to know.
So as you can see, we're inviting you to send in your comments, your questions, anything you'd like to tell us about. We will be reading all your comments and welcome any kind of feedback you give us. This is, after all, our first program. We want to know what you think about the program. So please send your comments on Twitter, on Facebook, anywhere you like. We want to hear from you.
Welcome back, and I'm joined now by Mark Magon from Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. He was an ambassador at large at the U.S. State Department. But before I go to the live interview, let's take a look at this video first.
Ever since he was elected as the next president of the United States, Donald Trump has been giving out mixed messages to China. He appointed a pro-China ambassador to Beijing, but an anti-China trade advisor. Trump himself turned over many of the efforts that Barack Obama had built with Beijing, and publicly questioned the one-China policy after taking a call from Taiwan leader Tsai Ing-wen.
I fully understand the one-China policy, but I don't know why we have to be bound by a one-China policy unless we make a deal with China.
On trade and economy, Mr. Trump blamed China.
Now, what you're looking at is the person we're going to be interviewing in Washington very shortly. He's standing by in the Washington studio. We have a split screen here. As you can see on the left, we've got a single screen, which is what's showing the Washington studio. On the right, we've got a split screen, which is put together in this gallery here, and that can be mixed in onto the main output.
After China captured a US underwater drone in the South China Sea, Mr. Trump said on Twitter that we should tell China that we don't want the drone they stole back, and suggested that China should keep it. Of course, it's still another 3 weeks away until Donald Trump takes office, and the world is watching and waiting to see what will happen after that in this up-and-down relationship between the two economic powerhouses.
And let's cross over live to my guest in
So you've got the CG1 has gone green and now red. That means it's now live on the main screen.
Joining us on the very first edition of The Point.
It's a privilege.
There's obviously a delay in the satellite link to Washington, so often you'll find that once the question has been asked, there's a couple of seconds pause until he hears it and then is able to respond.
Relations between China and the United States. Many people here in China are confused about these choices for this future cabinet. We don't know whether Congress will approve them, but so far it's unsettling. What do you think are the true motivations behind these appointments? Do you see his actions as personal or policy-driven?
It's a very good question. I think that there is a certain erratic...
On the big screens now, you'll see that on the left-hand side is the split screen, which is the preview screen, and to the right of it is the main output. So that's the picture that's going out actually on the moment, whereas on the left we had the preview screen. Okay.
The choice of Peter Navarro as the National Trade Council represents actually...
And so on these large number of screens here, you've got all the different outputs that we can use and mix together, and that's being mixed together by the directors telling the mixer beside her what to put in as the main picture.
An effective competitor. The choice of Terry Branstad is more personal for Trump. It is a choice of a governor in a state where he was successful politically. And as someone, Branstad, who knows President Xi and knows China well, I think Trump sees him as an asset for deal making, because Trump is ultimately a deal maker.
Well, I would like to hear more about your comments on the appointment of Peter Navarro. We talked about this earlier in the program as well. Peter wrote books and is also very attention-catching, and he is putting the blame of U.S.'s economic woes squarely on China. How do you think his appointment is going to affect?
Joining us here in the gallery is a face that I'm sure is very familiar to many of the viewers of CGTN. It's Ina Tangen. I presume, Ina, you're actually doing something for somebody else's program today.
Yes, I've been called in to talk a little bit about globalization, so looking forward to it. Congratulations. I know a lot of work has gone into this.
We're very glad it's going out finally after all these weeks of work. You obviously are a very popular face in here, and we even joke sometimes sometimes they should give you a bed in here because you seem to appear here so often.
Well, you're awfully nice. It's just my office is across the street, so I'm more utilitarian than aspirational.
How do you think that CGTN has changed since the original days of CCTV9 and CCTV News, and how have you seen the progression of the channel?
I hate to say it, but I was part of all three, so I don't know. I mean, we'll wait to see. I mean, there's a lot of changes. I think there's an effort to connect more directly with people through social media. I think it's important. I mean, the times have changed, as we saw with the U.S. elections. It's not the same old journalism as it was before, and I think this is a way that they're going to experiment and see how it goes. I wish you guys a lot of luck. I think it'll be very interesting.
Yes, I think the whole media landscape is changing totally now with new media and with the internet technologies. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how things happen. And of course, the idea of CGTN is it envelops the TV and the new media and all the other technologies that go together.
Well, you have a great crew.
You always says the right things, guaranteed.
I really look forward to it. I mean, it's a much more interactive. I think it's a little bit more punchy.
Mm-hmm.
Graphics are important, but I think it's the content in the end. And really, as I've always said, despite being a foreign commentator, I think when people tune in, they really want to hear the voice of China.
For sure, but
Chinese
you say you're a
experts.
foreign commentator, of course, but you've been in Beijing for a very long time, I think.
Only 12 years. I don't think that's a long time. You're
Well,
still
everything's
learning.
relative, yeah.
But it's interesting. I mean, I came here because I thought it would be interesting to see China develop, and the model is very different. And it requires sometimes a little bit different idea of how things work, and culturally and economically and politically holding your mind open. So, but if you do that, I think you can learn a lot.
Great. So you're going to be appearing on World Insight later?
Yes. Okay. They got desperate. They needed somebody, and I was available.
You were available. Well, best of luck. We'll look forward to seeing you later. Thanks very much for your time.
Appreciate it.
Okay, let's look back on the screen now. So it's wrapping up the interview with the Washington expert. And as you can see from the green clock above, we've got about 4 minutes till the hour. So very shortly we'll be ending this particular part of the section of the program. And then after another short, what we call a bumper, which is like a graphic interval, Liu Xin will get out of her seat, she'll stand up and she'll do a final piece to camera, which is her last point. So let's just see the transition at the end of this interview.
With respect to Trump's policy towards China, I think actually it will be good that clear statements of American concerns about fundamental issues in our relationship with President Trump. Republican presidents tend to be clearer, and I think that China's sophisticated leadership will understand that.
Already now, although we're coming into the end of our program, the next program is already waiting to get in. We've got people who are from the World Insight program who will be using the studio starting at 1/4 the hour. So already people are coming in and queuing up. But let's keep on looking again now.
Taiwan is not recognizing democracy on the island of Taiwan. It is that he would want to make a deal over currency or trade and treat these issues as bargaining chips. He will emphasize economic issues, then security issues, then issues of governance and liberties. I think he should do the reverse. Ultimately, the American people will be concerned.
Well, yes. Well, previous U.S. presidents have tried that and they didn't succeed. And we're going to see the same result, I can assure you. Thank you very much. Time is limited. Mark Legon joining us from Georgetown University, from Washington. You're watching The Point here on
So now we'll have another bumper.
And my last point is coming right up.
So while this plays, she gets out of her seat, as you can see from the left-hand screen, and she'll be positioning herself on the floor by the graphic on the wall. See, the shot is lining up on her now. So we'll go into the studio as well. Again, very quiet, and just see her going in now. Let's go in. Okay, if you come out and have a look there.
As China faces rising wages and living
can see coming into shot the boom camera now. You can see the boom camera.
It seems ironic that China, one of the last to embrace an open market economy, understands and accepts the realities of Northern America, a supposed free market champion. As President Xi said in his New Year message, we Chinese not only aspire to good things for ourselves, but also good people in other parts of the world can lead a decent life. Let's hope 2017 is a long way with that wish. That's my point. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.
And now the camera pans round as Liu Xin walks off. And that's the end of the programme. We will. Okay, let's go and say hello. Well, how do you think that went?
I don't know.
That's good.
What do you think?
We thought it was wonderful, didn't we?
Was
We thought
it
it was
good?
wonderful, yes.
Thank you so much. 3,000 thumbs up. Thank you so much from around the world. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll do better in the future, I hope.
Oh, it's the first of many, yes.
Yes, and send us a comment about what you think of the show, and let's leave the studio.
Okay,
yeah?
yes.
It's time to celebrate.
Remember, we will always want your comments and questions. We will do our best to respond whenever we can. So if we come out the studio.
Let's wait
Yep.
till the show is officially
Absolutely,
off.
officially off the air. And Liu Xin, she needs to have her microphone taken off. That's what you've been listening to her on that microphone there. So shall we just go into the gallery?
Yeah.
Hey! Party time!
Perfect. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. It was good. It was okay.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, perfect.
No mistakes.
No mistakes.
Really? I was so nervous. Good. Good. Okay, shall we sign off here then?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. See you every day on CGTN tomorrow at the same time, 13:30 GMT. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Okay.
Stop.